Now it's time. But
it's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
All right, we got a lot of things going on here in politics.
yeah,
obviously.
what in the world?
And actually, the reason why we started with the Ukraine story and Russia and all that is because now that everyone's distracted in America with elections and all the SCOTUS stuff, great time to start, releasing information, the hero stories, whatever it may be, just sort of the other narratives to reveal what's going on for the Russia front. So that's why we started there, or the Russia-Ukraine front. But in politics, we had a kind of a series or sequence of, that's a little later, I guess. I guess we'll just start here with the slap, which is from the Hill here.
There is a milieu going, a spirit of slap upon the earth, where over and over we're getting these slaps heard around the world. Yeah. And this is one of them.
The Hill, Giuliani slapped by supermarket employee, police say. Former New York City Rudy Giuliani was attacked by an employee at a Staten Island, New York supermarket on Sunday, according to authorities. The NYPD confirmed to The Hill on Sunday that Giuliani was slapped in the mid-back at a ShopRite. Yeah, well, I thought it was a face.
The dude is like 80-something years old. You cannot slap an old man in the back like that. That is extremely dangerous.
Yeah, it sounds like you have experience hurting old people when you don't intend to.
No, I don't. But I do know that the mid back is not a good place to slap an old man.
Maybe it was another friend of mine. I had a friend who hugged his grandma too hard and broke her ribs.
Yeah,
so,
they're
a common
on
story.
The other side, man. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So he got hit in the mid back at a ShopRite while on the campaign trail for his son Andrew Giuliani gubernatorial campaign. Quote, all of a sudden, I feel this burn. No, hold on. All of a sudden, I feel this bam on my back, Giuliani told the New York Post, adding that he nearly fell down from the blow. Quote, all of a sudden, I hear this guy say, you're a effing scumbag. And he moves away so nobody can grab him, he added. The 39-year-old ShopRite employee was detained after the incident, according to the NYPD. Oh, my page just refreshed. Weird. The Post reported that he's facing a second-degree assault charge for assaulting a person over the age of 65. And it goes on.
As he should.
Yeah, but it's interesting. The we kind of the theme here of the psychology, controlling people's perceptions of reality, and ultimately it's emotional manipulation, emotional control, and behavioral control. That's what we're talking about when we talk about psychological control and mind control and all that kind of stuff. But just more people unhinged in this kind of because of the nature of the media and how they clearly create hate towards these politicians. Someone who's not necessarily mentally stable can see someone in person get triggered by all that headlines and whatever pundits and talking heads and whatever over the years, and think it's a good idea to go smack Giuliani right in the back.
Well, I mean, first of all, this is politically motivated violence. This, as Giuliani said himself, but I would say, I think this technically meets some definitions of terrorism. It was politically motivated, sure, but it was, to make a statement. It was
sure.
Really brutal. And, I don't know. I want to know more about this person who did it. I'm sure people are praising him on Twitter or whatever. Yeah. But it really does. As much as the left will love to talk about how the right is ready to, fight a civil war or commit violence or whatever, the left is just as violent. I would probably say more angry, and really to run up to a politician in a supermarket in public and slap him with intent to hurt an old 80-year-old man takes such a blind rage that this person, I imagine, does not have a very good life. the amount of losing your cool that you have to experience to take such a ludicrous legal risk to do such a thing,
and a stranger, a complete stranger,
no benefit.
Yeah. Well, that's the state of the world.
Benefit besides, getting some sort of, it could be one of those things where as an energy weapon, they zapped him with the frequency that made him violent.
Destroy Giuliani, destroy, and then walks up. But why not face him?
Then they turn it to the reward setting afterwards, so he gets a little pleasure out of it.
Run away, post on social media, earn credit. Yeah. So, very interesting. I think we'll see more of that, but I guess it's just a commentary on the political climate of this country, not just the political climate, the mental state of this country is steep decline as COVID didn't help. So
mental health issues going on here.
Yeah. Which is, I would argue is also a spiritual issue. But here we go. We got politico.eu here. This is something I wanted to just briefly touch on, just run through it. Do I have it here? Yeah. And the headline is G7 unveils $600 billion plan to combat China's Belt and Road. A little late to the game, a little late to the party. China's been building Belt and Road for a decade. And now G7's like, we better do something about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going. I need to figure out who's in the G7. For some reason, I thought China was in the G7.
No. The world's wealthiest democracies on Sunday announced a $600 billion global infrastructure initiative to counter China's push to exert political and commercial influence through massive investments across emerging economies. U.S. President Joe Biden was joined by other G7 leaders in unveiling the group's counterstrike at a summit in the German Alps. Biden declared that, quote, our nation and the world stand at a genuine inflection point in our history, and added that the choices made in developing countries today would gird them against future shocks from climate change and pandemics and prepare them for the digital age. There you go. The United States will aim to leverage a total of $200 billion for the program over the coming 5 years through a combination of federal financing and private sector investments. That adds to 300 billion, euros, already announced by the EU, along with contributions from other members. The overall target is to build a $600 billion scheme. Biden never used the word China, but the rival on the other end of the race for global reach was clear, with the president declaring that when, quote, democracies do all that we can offer, they would triumph over autocracies. Quote, we're offering better options for people around the world, he says. This is when, and again, I have my criticisms of Trump, but there's a part of me that in this context of world affairs, and there's a part where I'm like, man, we need a businessman. We don't need this Biden, just regurgitating what his puppet masters are saying for him to do and to do all this stuff. We need somebody that's going to actually do something about it.
Yeah.
The infrastructure plan was unveiled a year ago. 2021, it was dubbed Build Back Better World after Biden's legislative. So that's what it is. That's all it is. They're just admitting it now. They're admitting publicly what this whole Build Back Better was. It was to combat China's Belt and Road. And just for people who, may not.
Which, by the way, they were all, a lot of this, I don't know how else to say it besides just anti-China or just China pressuring China. It's anti-China. All this anti-China stuff, this movement, which now includes such luminaries as Justin Trudeau from Canada. This is the G7. Canada, Justin Trudeau. France, Emmanuel Macron. Germany, Olaf Scholz. Italy, Mario Draghi. Japan, Fumio Kishida. Boris Johnson in United Kingdom and Joe Biden. These are the exact folks who are like, oh, Trump doesn't like China's Belt and Road Initiative. Trump thinks that China is a threat. Well, he's racist. And it goes back to that narrative crafting thing. The narrative was very powerful. And again, people will not remember the fact that these same country leaders, with the exception of Germany, who it wasn't Olaf Scholz during Trump's thing. It was, what's her name? Doesn't matter.
Merkel.
No, thank you.
Merkel? Yeah,
Angela. Merkel. Yeah, Angela Merkel. All these anti-Trump world leaders suddenly moving forward with what was basically Trump policy.
Yeah.
Which is a hilarious parallel to, exactly what Biden has been doing, which is following through with Trump policy, whether it's, nationalist policy, protectivism policy, all of these types of same things that Trump would get bashed for. They just do it, but they kind of give it a new coat of paint, some social justice paint, or some, I don't know, Great Reset paint instead of anti-China paint, and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just hilarious.
Well, and considering the fact that I'm showing, for those of you watching, I'm showing a map of the Belt and Road. The road part kind of goes through China.
China's one.
Yeah, China's Belt and Road goes through China and then goes through sort of the Middle East there, goes up to Moscow and then over to Rotterdam. And then the Belt side kind of goes, over the South Asian areas there. It goes by India and then hits Nairobi, Kenya, and then goes up through Saudi Arabia and Israel, all that, and then Venice, and then meets in Rotterdam. So
connecting, and the idea was that they would make a high-speed train / shipping route that would connect. It would be a new Silk Road kind of thing, not the drug website, but the ancient Chinese, merchant route. They're basically recreating that for the new century here. That would make China central to all trade throughout that hemisphere, obviously not coming over to the Americas, right? But the rest of the world would all be directly linked with China.
And the Russia-Ukraine crisis, what that's doing is it's causing Russia to basically team up with China in this sort of infrastructure of the East. And, because you look at the G7, they're building this anti-China Silk Road combat thing on one hand, and on the other hand, they're saying like, with the NATO, they're like, we thought Russia was going to be part of the European crew, but I guess not. I guess you're going to go with China. And
do they have does the G7 have a map, or are they just going to build it right next to China's? They're going to just.
I want to see the strategic meeting where Biden draws the lines on the map.
He just draws the exact same lines.
We're gonna go take over China.
Brilliant plan. Wow.
This is not looking good and by the way, this is what's going to support not just the dethroning of the US dollar as the world reserve currency, but the rise of the what's the digital renminbi? Is that what they say? I don't even know how to say it.
Yep. Yeah. Digital renminbi.
Renminbi. That'll become at least for the East and people who use the Belt and Road. Why would they want to use dollars? There's no point. They're probably going to get discounts if they use the digital, or not the digital yuan, but the renminbi. So,
and I mean, they'll be pulling all sorts of schemes to do exactly that. Yeah.
So there you go.
No, good. I mean, this is a big deal. This is a big deal,
yeah.
And also just hilarious. It's just so absurd. It's just so absurd.
Kind of sad. It is kind of sad. I mean, in terms of the West and America and what we've just not paying attention, or not, maybe not paying attention. Maybe it was intentional.
That is exactly right. Yeah. I was going to say, it feels very thrown together. It feels very like they've been ignoring it. It's been racist to say that China is making the Belt and Road to basically take over the world economically. I mean, you couldn't say it. Everybody thought you were crazy. Again, back to the people not remembering, talking about the Belt and Road Initiative was as conspiratorial as talking about the Great Reset was, well, in 2016.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though.
The Chinese have been doing.
Oh, no. Frozen again. Oh, he's back. Are you back?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't hear the last part of what you said there. We need to figure
this okay. Out. I'm just saying it. It's just silly. It feels very thrown together. Yeah. And again, it seems like they've been ignoring it because whatever. I don't know why.
They probably had an economic. They stayed the economic and maybe political connections that so many Americans had with China probably kept them. And maybe this was China's plan all along. That kept them kind of distracted, kept them basically paid off almost to not pay attention
keep the millions going to the Biden family, and they don't pay attention to the thing. But it also fits into the Great Reset war for the New World Order, the East versus West that we've been tracking.
And here's my question to you. You had mentioned, I think it was the last episode or maybe the episode before that, how, or maybe you were, I don't know if you were agreeing with this sentiment or you were just sharing it, but this idea that China's in trouble, that because of all the global supply chains being disrupted to China, that China's in big trouble. Do you still agree with that, with this kind of thing happening here? Is this, or do you think?
I do. And I even more so now think it's on purpose because the Belt and Road was supposed to secure the future of China. That's the purpose. And that's why they would invest ludicrous amounts of money and political capital to make the Belt and Road a real thing, is because they know that without the security and the speed and the good deals, the economics of the Belt and Road, they would not be able to get the amount of imports that they need to
sustain
continue to dominate.
However many billion, what is it? What's
sustain
the population?
Or grow. Yeah. They can't sustain or grow without imports. And now that they're being sort of cut off because of their connection to Russia and everything else, they're at risk. So I think they're speeding up the Belt and Road. And I think that the G7 moving forward with their version of the Belt and Road is on. I mean, it's brutal. I think it's as brutal as the sanctions on Russia, because they know that if they can outplay the Chinese Belt and Road and outspend and out shame and out pressure and out everything and take that away from them, China will be bending the knee soon enough. They have to. They have to bend the knee if they do not get the Belt and Road, not just to exist, but to dominate. They have to dominate. Maybe the
G7 thing is to build literally right next to the China's Belt and Road, and then just plug in explosives every few miles.
Literal war. No, they would do economic war. They would just undercut every attempt for the Chinese to do deals. And, it's this, if they do the same shipping routes, the same economic, the logistics routes, all they got to do is undercut them by a penny, and China will be put out on almost every benefit that they were hoping to receive. I think that I maintain it even more. This is an economic war on China. They know that they can totally sabotage the future of China, and China will have to bend the knee. And if they don't, they're gone. They're not gone. They're just reversed into some sort of developing country status.
And one could argue that will create a wave of depopulation in China.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be horrific.
And that's what I'm saying, though. It's kind of interesting because
what you're crawling back for humanitarian aid to the West.
Maybe, but the victory over China that the West will, declare, I guess, will come at the expense of a depopulating China,
Absolutely. It's totally brutal. It's war. It is as brutal as the sanctions. Now, let me be clear. I don't think they're going to pull this off. I don't think
Biden, were you talking about G7?
I don't think G7 is going to pull this off in any meaningful way. I want to be very clear. The ramifications I'm talking about are very real, but I do not think that Biden and Trudeau and these weaselly, wimpy leaders have what it takes to get this done. Especially because they're really just doing it for old Daddy Klaus. I mean, they're not doing it for God and country. They're doing it for Daddy Klaus.
Well, I'm sure if China advances and it looks like they're going to win the war, you'll see Klaus, reach out a hand, and he already has. But I'm just saying, even more so.
He'll reach out his pinky ring, and everybody will bend the knee and kiss the ring.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me run you through some interesting stuff with the Supreme Court. Just Supreme Court. Let's go, baby.
Supreme Court. Yep. Okay, so
we still don't have a Supreme Court jingle.
Supreme Court SCOTUS. Let's start with the Mary Miller clip.
Wait. You really don't? We don't have any jingle for this.
We don't.
I really liked your acapella though. Supreme Court SCOTUS.
Yeah, there you go.
Take that sample, make something, people. Okay.